So I managed to get completely shredded, and I'll show you the before and after photos on your screen right now, as a night shift worker of 9.5 years. 9.5 years of night shift and shift work. I managed to get completely shredded. In this video, I'll be showing you how I did it. Welcome back everybody, it's Brad here again, and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. It is the 13th of September 2021, currently in lockdown here in Melbourne again. We're up to episode 3 and we have 1 subscriber on this channel so far. We're doing very well, guys. We have 1 subscriber, got to start somewhere. So if you're new here, and you probably are, then consider subscribing, because this channel is going to all be about fitness training, tips, advice, everything that helped me get into the best shape of my life and then go on to compete in national competitions and world titles and things like that. So this is my way of giving back to the world of everyone wanting to get into shape. This video is about how I got shredded as a night shift worker. I worked a night shift job for about 9.5 years. I was always told that getting shredded working night shift was impossible. Therefore, the first 6 years of my night shift working journey was, I was relatively out of shape. I was eating from the vending machine. I was eating fast food, takeaway, donuts, biscuits, lollies, junk food, basically. And I did that for years at my desk, working night shift. And you're probably watching this video as a night shift worker right now. If you are, like the video. Because I know the feeling. I watched videos like this when I was a night shift worker, still trying to figure this stuff out. And none of those videos really helped me. It wasn't until I started educating myself on fitness and training and applying those principles to a nighttime routine that I started to see results in my own body. So therefore, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get shredded, not just lose weight, because that might be your goal. I'll show you the before and after photos right now so you can see what I look like before and what I look like after my transformation. And I did that during night shift. I'll show you how I not just lost weight, but also got shredded. And then you can just take away whatever you want from this video and achieve some kind of result in between that. Because I know some people watching this are not interested in being completely shredded like that. But I'll share with you a couple of things here. I'll give you some links as well down below in the description. That are some articles that I've written on these topics that I'm not going to go into too much detail on because they're quite big, but I'll give you some links and some stuff that you can go and check out in your own time. So I'm going to lay the foundation of my own night shift roster so you can get an idea of what I worked as a night shift worker back in the day. Now, I actually got made redundant. Actual whole department got shut down about 2 years ago, but I did this for 9.5 years. I worked a crazy roster of 7 days on, 7 days off. Sometimes it was 14 days on, 14 days off of night shift, starting at 8:30 at night, going all the way through the night till 7 in the morning, and then getting home at 7:30 in the morning, going to bed, trying to sleep for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours. Man, I'd be very happy if I got 3 hours rest. And then I'd rinse and repeat and do the whole thing all over again. 7 days on, 7 days off, 7 days on, 7 days off, 14 days on, 14 days off. And as mentioned, I managed to get into the best shape of my life. And I was also competing in all these bodybuilding competitions around my night shift roster. You might be watching this as a police officer or a flight attendant or a pilot. You may be more active during your night shift than I was during my night shift. So you're going to have to adapt these tips that I'm going to give you around your specific roster. It might be harder for you or easier for me, you know, to apply these tips, but just do the best you can. You know, there is no golden set of rules. It's just a matter of taking what I'm going to give you and just doing your best with applying it to your own roster and around your own roster. So I did this for 9.5 years. I also did some day shift in there as well, some morning shift, some afternoon shift. And then, you know, every 6 weeks I go back on the night shift again. 7 days on, 7 days off, 7 days on, 7 days off. So my roster was all over the place. So I had to be very flexible with what I'm going to share with you in just a second. The first tip I have for you is planning your meals in advance as a night shift worker. Now, if you got a night shift block coming up, planning what you're going to eat throughout the night is super important. This was a game changer for me personally. Now, prior to this, I was eating I had no plan. I just ate whatever was in the staff room, donuts, biscuits, baked goods that people would bring from home, pizzas. It went on and on. I'd go to the vending machine, I'd have Sprite, whatever soft drink there was in the vending machine, and I just drank that and ate donuts and junk food basically for the first 5 or 6 years. I didn't know anything about this. But when I started planning my meals in advance, if I knew there was a night shift coming up, I would think about what food I would bring in to my night shift and then how I would eat that food throughout the night. And I would do it strategically, and this is important. I figured out how many calories my body needs every day to cut or to lose fat. Stick with me. Figure out how many calories that my body needed every day, which was around 2,100 calories. Now, if you're watching this, it's going to be different, right? But go and check the links in the description below. I've got 2 articles or 3 articles there, or check out the pinned comment. I'll give you some links to go and check out this stuff where you can calculate your macros and your calories and figure out what this number is for you. For me, it was around 2,100 calories. And so when I figured out that my body needed around 2,100 calories every day and throughout my night shift, I broke that calorie target into macros or macronutrients. Again, I'll link a thing down below. You can go and check out that article. I explain more detail about this in those articles. So I figured how many calories I need, how many macros that breaks down into, and then I either use one or two things. I used a meal plan, which I'll link down below in the description. I've got a bunch of sample meal plans that you can go and check out. And I just put in a bunch of food, right, at specific times of the morning that I would have, and I'd make sure that the food I selected was as close as possible to 2,100 calories total, right? Wasn't exactly 2,100, might have been 2,150, sometimes 2,200. It was plus or minus 100 calories in my target, right? And I was consistently holding that target for a good 3 months or so. Right throughout my night shift, as tough as it was, that was my target and my macros, right? And I used 2 things. I played with meal plans, right? I put that in a meal plan, or I used MyNet Diary, right? So MyNet Diary is an app that you can get on your phone. You can actually download it, it's free to use. You can actually pay for it, but you don't need to pay for it. And you just put in your calorie target into MyNet Diary, right? And I might make a separate video on how to do that. You put this into MyNet Diary and then you just track the food that you're eating, right? And so you just scan the labels, scan the barcodes, put in the quantities, put in all that sort of stuff. And then MyNet Diary will take the balance off your target and will tell you how many calories you have left to burn or how many calories you have left to consume in the day. So that's another tactic. So there's 2 tactics: meal plans, which is what I actually recommend, number 1. And number 2 is using MyNet Diary, right? You can use either or, play with both of them. And then when it comes to training, now it's extremely difficult, as you know, trying to go to the gym, trying to lift weight whilst you're in between night shift. It was one of the hardest things in my life. I'd always go to the gym tired. And so my biggest piece of advice for people that are doing night shift and are wanting to get shredded and want to keep some kind of a gym routine, my biggest piece of advice is just do your best. I use a system called push-pull legs, and I'll have an article down below, which I wrote an article on what that is. I explain in more detail what it is. It's essentially a split where you can essentially train your muscle groups according to push-pull muscle groups or legs. And I would do this, 3 to 5 times a week during my night shift. However, if I was too tired because I maybe didn't sleep long enough, maybe I only got 2 hours sleep instead of 3 hours sleep, then I would skip this altogether. So I wouldn't even do it. I'd just do some light cardio. So the important thing about training that people ask me is, Brad, do I need to lift weights? I can't, I'm too tired. I know the feeling. Every time I went to the gym after my night shift, I was exhausted. And so I could barely do push-pull legs. In fact, I could only do push-pull legs in the earlier or the beginning phases of my night shift. And then as I went through the week of my night shift block, I got progressively more and more tired, and I therefore couldn't really do this, right? So I suggest doing push-pull legs in the earlier or the beginning part of your night shift where you have more energy and more zest, right? Then leave it to the end of your night shift block. Otherwise, just do cardio, just do some light cardio, 30 minutes, 40, 50 minutes. That's what I did. Just a bit of light cardio, walk around the neighborhood, do 30, 40, 50 minutes on the treadmill. Don't even worry about push-pull legs. But if you can do push-pull legs, amazing. But I will have an article linked down below if you want to learn more about push-pull legs. And then general sleeping tips. Now, these are just kind of general, what I did. It's extremely difficult to get a good solid night's sleep for me. You know, I was getting probably 3 hours, 4 hours sleep a day during night shift. I know a lot of people give amazing advice about how you need to have 6 to 8 hours sleep and all this kind of stuff because of cortisol levels and have REM sleep. And these people obviously have never worked night shift before, right? They have no idea. You know, just do your best with trying to get sleep. I use an eye mask, earplugs, shut the blinds, keep your room as dark as possible, try and eliminate noise as much as possible, and then do your best. Try and get as much sleep as you can. Try, but I got super shredded on 3, 4, 5 hours sleep maximum during my night shift. It's not ideal from a health perspective. I know some people are going to get upset with me, but you got to make the most of what you have, and I managed to pull it off. So do your best. Now, before I finish off the video, I'll quickly go through my timeline of what I did, my typical night shift day, right? So I start work at 8:30 at night and I'd finish at 7 in the morning. That was my night shift. Sometimes I would start at 9:30 at night and finish at 9:30 in the morning and do a 12-hour shift. Absolute killer shift. Really, really torturous, absolutely torturous. And then when I got home at 7, when I finished my night shift at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'd get home at around 7:30. Super lucky, I lived very close. And then I'd be in bed by around 8 o'clock, right? My aim was to be in bed by about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'd probably go to sleep at around that time and then wake up. My aim was to wake up by around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes I woke up earlier because there would be a loud noise outside, or someone would slam the door, or the wind would slam the door, and that would wake me up at 12 o'clock, right? And so I'd only get a couple of hours sleep, torturous. But I'd try my best to sleep until around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd then wake up and be groggy. I'd feel like a zombie, just walking around like this, just kind of like doing my best, just kind of, you know, trying to wake up, bashing myself across the face, that kind of stuff. And then by around 5 o'clock, I would try and get myself to the gym, right? And again, I would do my best with this because oftentimes I'd be really tired. And so I'd try and do push-pull legs. If I couldn't do that, I would just do some light cardio instead. And then I'd get home, have a shower, and then go back to work, 8:30, and rinse and repeat the whole process again. Now, in terms of how I got through the night, now I'll just break down a little bit of my strategy here, right? So 2,100 calories was thereabouts my target. Now go to the link below, there's a little calculator, go and use that calculator, go and figure out what your own target is, and you can follow along with me with these little concepts here. So 2,100 calories is my target, and then I thought to myself, okay, I would, around 11 o'clock at night, I would have a small snack. I'd have an apple, banana, a protein shake. And that would get me through until about 3 o'clock in the morning. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I am my worst version of myself. You don't want to talk to me. You don't want to associate with me. I'm a terrible human. I'm just absolutely terrible. My colleagues, I don't talk to anybody around 3 o'clock in the morning at all. Worst version of myself. But I know that about myself. And I know that I should allocate around 500 calories to a decent meal from this balance. 500 calories goes to around 3 o'clock in the morning. And that can be anything I want, but typically high protein food, right? So grilled chicken, beef, with some rice on the side, not much, just a little bit of rice, a little bit of quinoa, and I would have that at 3 o'clock in the morning. Have a look at the sample meal plans down below. go and have a look at them. They're just samples. You don't have to, you can just delete all the entries and put your own stuff in. But that's just a bit of an idea, right? You can just put in whatever you want at around 500 calories. And that actually got me through to around 7 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'd have a protein shake at 11 p.m. and then sometimes I'd have another protein shake at 3 a.m., but not always. I just have one protein shake here and then usually have a meal at around 3 o'clock in the morning. And then at around 7 a.m., I'll have another meal. That's kind of like my dinner at 7 o'clock. And then that would be kind of a heavy meal because that would help me get to sleep. And then I get home at 7:30, wake up at around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and have another protein shake. And that protein shake will help me get ready for the gym at 5 o'clock. So that was kind of my structure. But you don't have to follow that exact structure. You know, you might be a police officer, you might be a flight attendant. This is not a very practical strategy because you get breaks at different times, but you've got to figure out, you know, using this methodology and your particular roster, what works best for you. So I'll wrap this video up by saying that I sustained this process for a good 3 months or so to start seeing actual results. My whole body transformation took around 6 to 8 months, right? The whole thing. And I'll link up a separate article explaining the process that I followed of bulking and cutting to get into the best shape of my life whilst I was doing night shift. But anyway, I'll link up some articles down below. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.